Hello and welcome to Cookies with Carrie. My name is Carrie Beckham and I'm from a small town in East Texas. Baking has always been a hobby of mine. Even as a small child, I remember going and visiting my grandmother, and she would always have something baking in the oven. But after having children of my own and making their birthday cakes for so many years, I decided to turn my hobby into a profession. Today, I'm going to share with you one of my favorite recipes, chocolate chip cookies. This recipe is so versatile. It can be used at any event and will be loved by all your guests. And at the end, I will show you how I enjoy eating this most wonderful cookie. Now let's get started. Now that we have our KitchenAid mixer, we're going to start mixing our wet ingredients. I prefer to use a paddle instead of a dough hook. Some people might use dough hook for cookie dough, but I prefer this. It just seems to work better for me. I'm going to attach this together. And I'm going to start by using 3/4 cup of butter flavored shortening. And then I have some light packed brown sugar, about 1 1/4 cup. And I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Then I'm going to add my milk, and this is going to be 2 tablespoons. And then I'm going to slowly mix this together. Okay, you're going to grab your spatula, and you're going to mix it down, because we're trying to incorporate all this together. Okay, I'm going to take this off just so I can show you what it's going to look like when it's mixed thoroughly. And now I'm going to add my egg. And I'm going to mix well. And then I'm going to take my spatula and I'm going to scrape down the sides. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our flour mixture from earlier and we're going to add this in a scoop at a time with our mixer running. Okay, when you have it all incorporated, you can stop your mixer, and I'm going to grab my chocolate chips. And I'm just going to add all of those in there. And this is about 2 cups. And then I'm going to blend it some more. And once you have it all incorporated, you're going to take it off. And that's what it's going to look like. Now we're going to clean off our workspace so we can portion out our cookies. We're going to scoop our cookie dough onto parchment paper. I like to use an ice cream scoop. You could use a teaspoon or a tablespoon and then just drop it on, but it's less mess this way. So we're gonna scoop a pretty good portion. I'm gonna take another scoop and I'm just gonna do this. And you need to space them about 2 inches apart. I love these chocolate chip cookies. I make them all the time. They're so wonderful. Who else is a chocolate fan out there? Okay, now that we have our cookies scooped, we're gonna put them in a preheated oven at 375 degrees and bake them for about 9 to 11 minutes. Okay, now we're going to start on our buttercream icing. We are going to use the whisk attachment for this, and I have here 3 cups of vegetable shortening. I'm going to just scoop this in here and try not to make a mess. Sometimes that's impossible for me. I make messes all the time. I think that's part of being a good baker, messes. And then I'm going to take 6 tablespoons of margarine. vanilla. This is about 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm gonna whip this all together. You're gonna need to whip it on medium to high speed. And then I'm gonna turn it off, and you're gonna wanna scrape the sides of this bowl. The reason why I do this is because the vegetable shortening is clumpy, and if you don't whip it enough, it will have chunks in it when you go to serve it to your guests. I'm just gonna keep mixing. When I was a little girl, I used to go visit my grandmother all the time, and she made buttercream icing. And I thought it was so weird because it was full of Crisco and powdered sugar, and that was pretty much it. So I add a little margarine to mine to make it not so thick. Okay, now we're gonna add the powdered sugar, and we are gonna need to add this a little at a time so we don't create a big powdered sugar poof everywhere, because those really do happen. I'm gonna add a little bit here. I added about 3/4 of the bag. And it might get thick, but we're gonna add milk at the end. This recipe I've used for the last 20 years in my bakery. I've perfected it over the years, and it's a really good icing recipe. I have lots of customers who come in and want to just buy my icing and eat it by the spoonfuls. Okay, so we have a 2-pound bag of powdered sugar in here, and I'm just gonna keep mixing. And I'm gonna put it on high. At the end, you wanna put it on high so it's all incorporated. And I'm gonna show you what this looks like. So it's gonna be pretty thick. And we are gonna add milk. And I have found that milk actually is a better base to whip up buttercream. I know some people might use water, and the difference in that is that milk makes it more creamier than water. Water makes it crust. And I'm gonna use about 1/4 of a cup of milk. And then I'm gonna turn it on high, and I'm gonna let it whip for just a little while. And on the vanilla, I used a colored vanilla today, but I usually will use a clear vanilla, because if you use a dark vanilla, it will color your icing. Okay, and I'm gonna check for consistency. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, we're gonna take this off here, and we're gonna prepare our chocolate chip cookies now. But first, let us take the cookies out of the oven. Okay. We are gonna let these cool, so probably about 15 minutes, so we can put our buttercream on them and the buttercream doesn't melt. When we get back, we will start sandwiching our cookies together. Now that our cookies are cooled, we're going to assemble our cookie sandwich. So we are gonna take a cookie and turn it over, and we have our buttercream icing here, and we're just gonna ice this like this. And you never can have too much icing. I use a lot of icing. You can also use a piping bag with a tip if that's easier for you. Okay, then we're gonna take another cookie, and we're gonna sandwich it together. And I have some chopped pecans here that I'm just gonna roll this in. There's so many different things you can use to do this. You can use mini chocolate chips. You can use walnuts. Anything that you want to do, you could do. Okay, rolling it so you can set it on a plate. And this is my way I like to eat a chocolate chip cookie. One thing that's always been so important to me in my business is that a dessert should taste just as good as it looks. This has been my motto for the last 20 years. I hope this recipe is as big of a hit with your family as it's been mine and my customers for a very long time. If you would like to see more of my custom cakes, you can visit me on my website at www.candyandcakesbycarrie.com or on Instagram and Facebook. Until next time, have a sweet day.